Step your metallics up with just a few simple steps. Not So Average Builder is brought to you by these great retailers. There'll be promo codes in the description below. To make your metallics look amazing, you need a black base coat. In this case, I'm using the Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 Black. It comes in an airbrushable pot or rattle can, so if you don't have an airbrush, you can use this stuff too. Now, it is a matte coat, so you will need to put a gloss coat over top of it unless you use a gloss black primer. The clear coat that I used was the Scale Modeler Supply Clear Gloss. Put it through an airbrush, but you can use any clear gloss. Now, the metallic is their steel, and as you can see with that sprayed on there, it just looks really good. I also used their steel, or their aluminum color, sorry, on some of the parts on there to kind of give it a little difference. Now we're going to kick it up a notch, and I'm going to use Mr. Weathering Color, which is an oil-based wash, and their solvent to shade the recesses and darken the recesses, and also kind of darken the metallic look of it to give it more of a realistic look, give it that grimy look. Now in this case, I'm using two different varying thicknesses of the wash. I'm using one that has more multi-black in it and less solvent, and the other one has a lot more solvent and a little bit of multi-black to kind of vary the opacity of it. Now this stuff is an oil base, so as long as you're not using an oil-based paint, the solvent won't eat it off. And even if you're using acrylics, you can put this straight over top of acrylics and it won't harm the finish at all. So you can see here I'm kind of just going through and pulling off any excess that is pooling up in the recesses, which is a very important thing to do, because if this stuff sits, it will take a long time to dry. Oil paints take a long time to dry anyway, even with the solvent in there. So the more you have on there, the longer it's going to take to dry. And this stuff dries to almost like a matte consistency. So we're going to bring that up a notch once again. And you can see here, I'm even putting it over top of the blue parts on the magazines, because I want it to kind of give it that grimy feel that it's been on the shield, and space dust is collected, whatever your reasoning behind it is. The cool thing about this stuff is it can be layered once it's dried. So you can, once we put this on, I'll show you the next step, and then you can actually layer it on top of other layers and blend them so it looks like it was supposed to be there. Now once you let that dry, you're going to take some Q-tips. You're going to take your palette again, and with just the solvent in it this time, and dab the Q-tip in it and wipe off where you want it to be wiped off. Now the cool part about this stuff, once it's completely dry, it does take a few seconds to wipe off, so you can stagger the amount that actually comes off. And the harder you press, obviously the more solvent will come out of the Q-tip and cause more of it. But like, you can hit the raised surfaces and bring them back glossy, which is kind of cool. So you can vary the opacity both before and after, and then you can also like make it look scuffed or shiny. So you're going to add another level just by doing this. And once you get finished, we're going to take it even one more step further and make it look even more epic. While this is going on, I want to take a moment to thank my awesome patrons of the channel. If you'd like to become a patron of the channel, go to patreon.com/NotSoAverageBuilder. A ton of different tiers to choose from, and anything that you donate goes directly back to the channel. Now here's where that layering I was talking about. I wasn't crazy about the grimy look around the edge. It wasn't where I wanted it to be. So what you can do is you can take and add some more of the thinner opacity stuff that you already had, because this stuff takes forever to dry, and paint around the edges. And then, like, of course, when you're taking it off with a Q-tip, sometimes it gets out of places that you don't want it to come out of. So now's a good time to go ahead and touch those places back up, or make them look more grimy than they were before, because it just wasn't doing it. So once this dries up just enough, doesn't have to wait until it's completely dry, you're going to take the thinner again and you're going to blend this edge, and I will show you that. All the products and tools used in today's video came from usagundamstore.com. Check them out. They got what you need. Now that that's dry, you're going to take your Q-tip with just a little bit of solvent and you're going to bring it towards the center. And what that does is that removes some of it, but it also brings some of it towards the center of the piece you're working on. This circular clip is a good example. And what it does is it blurs that line and also brings some of it towards the middle, and it gives it a better look, an overall realistic look. Now we're going to do the fun part. This is any run-of-the-mill silver you want to use. I just had this lying around, so I figured I would use it. And you're going to take and you're going to dry brush. You know, of course, with dry brushing, you want to make sure that your brush is almost completely dry. A couple of times I mess up and I make it too much. That's okay, it's not a big deal. You can kind of make it work for what you're wanting to go with. But you've already picked off those raised edges, and now you're going to do it even more. And what this does is this really makes your metallics come to life. It is unreal. You could even skip the wash step and just go straight to dry brush, and it will make it look 100 times better. But I promise you, if you do that oil wash, or any wash at all, and then you hit it with a dry brush, it will completely 100% transform your kit. And like those pipes on the back leg, they were all the same color. You can pay extra special attention to those and make them silver. So different parts, you can use a dry brushing stage to make them silver. The pipes that are on the top of the kit can make those look silver as well. Just, you know, go a little extra on those for dry brushing. But I promise you, once you start dry brushing your inner frame, if you use a metallic color, even if you don't use a metallic color, dry brushing on an inner frame looks sexy. And the first time you do it, you will understand completely what I'm talking about. And here, we're going back onto the shield inner frame bits. I put some on the top of the ammo casings just to kind of give them some scratches, some wear and tear. And that's it. This is what you get. It looks kind of dusty, but once you hit this with a gloss coat, it will go back and completely transform it back to a metallic looking. It is amazing. It is simple stuff. I highly recommend to go out and get some Mr. Weathering colors, their oil washes, and their solvent. It will drastically change the look of your kits, and it is something you will use for a long period of time. But that is all I have, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video, share if you want to, and subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful day. Bye.